Okay, this is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth. I've started the second P1000 recording and I'm going to zoom in on the moon. Leaving this vantage point, it rose in the southeast and will set in the southwest. I'm in the Myrtle Beach area of South Carolina, and I'm facing southwest right now. The moon came up over the ocean right about in that area. The sun obviously is approaching somewhere in the middle of the view there, and will set in the middle of the view over there. So the sun is approaching from about 58 degrees north from this vantage point and will set about 300 degrees northwest. So two different movements from this vantage point. Imagine if you were standing at the corner of a racetrack. Depending on where of that corner you were, it would appear differently. So the sun and the moon are moving over a stationary Earth. That's the model, stationary and level Earth. I'm going to zoom in on the sailboat once again that ran aground a couple years ago out here. One of the things worth noting is the way that all the reflections start lighting up uniformly, and they will reflect with perfect symmetry the reflections of the sky, the buildings, whatever is it will reflect. So right here is the breakwater I'm zoomed in on, and where the ships come through. It's lined up with the Intracoastal Waterway. This is the Cherry Grove Point, the point in Cherry Grove, as we call it. The high tide, or the low tide, pardon me, was 5:55 Eastern Standard Time. The sun appearing here scheduled at 6:18 Eastern Standard Time. This is a real family-oriented area for obvious reasons. It's very beautiful, a lot of nature viewing here. My friend Steven, who I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, said he was going to be out here. I hadn't seen him for about 4 years, and he said he would be out here today paddle boarding. He found out yesterday that an 8-foot bull shark was caught out here, right in this area. That's a man killer, not actually an eater. It's not going to eat you all up, but if it hits a main artery, you'll bleed out unless you get something to stop it quick. So the fisherman who caught it cut the head off and released it back into the ocean or the inlet, so it'd be fish and crab food. So what I'm going to do as well is zoom in on the coastline way far away, well actually only several miles away. And the moisture that's stacking up on the front end of that, those dunes and that, it's kind of interesting. So I commented on that Ferrari where they were showing the aerodynamics of the 2020 Ferrari, how the airflow goes in and around it, cooling the brakes, flowing through flowing through air passages to cool brakes and relieve vacuum or draft on the back of the car. Absolutely amazing. When you're dealing with vehicles that will go hundreds of miles an hour, they've got to be designed pretty slippery through the air, through the atmosphere. I've got video of an eagle sitting in a tree up there on the far left and zoomed in real tight. The thumbnail is a bald eagle and he flew out here and caught a fish. I've got it all on video. I remember watching National Geographic and thinking it'd be so nice if they would tell us the truth about the creation when they show us the beauty of it. Seeing is believing. What do we see? What do we believe? So I'm going to zoom in on the group out here, the family, or maybe a couple of families, could be. And then over on the island, oh, isn't that cool? Look at him sitting there. Oh, there's a guitar. That's awesome. Yeah, it doesn't look like a heavy metal band, probably more like a worship, praise music kind of thing. So for me, I thought I was born again over 35 years ago. I cried, I repented, was baptized. Wasn't born again yet until roughly, well, on Reformation Day, as best I can tell, of 2014. The reason why that matters is because there's a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of praising Jesus on a Sunday morning and not living like it the rest of the week. That's, you know, I worked at a full-time ministry. You can look me up, my bio, Rawhide Boys Ranch, where Bart Starr helped the Green Bay Packer, who recently passed away. He helped lend credibility to that organization in the 60s. I stood next to Bart Starr all day one day when he was signing autographs for very important people that were donors helping to fund Rawhide Boys Ranch. He was signing signatures and they were preparing to auction off his red Corvette. Yeah, he was given a red Corvette and he donated it to Rawhide. That was so cool. I met him and Cherry on many occurrences out at Rawhide. He was a regular supporter of that ministry, that organization. It was in New London, Wisconsin. And then I volunteered at a mega church, Christ the Rock Community Church. It was Solid Rock Street Ministry when it was founded right around the late 70s, early 80s. I don't have the exact date in front of me. I know I met him when I was on my bicycle on College Avenue after I had totaled out my Chevy Vega. The girlfriend that I broke up with was a real witch, and she said, I'm going to cast a spell on you, and the last time I did that, the person died. Well, I sheared off a power pole, had electricity running through the car. I had been drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, and crashed the car, and I could have been killed. I remember seeing electricity jumping off of the hood. There was a pound of marijuana inside. I'm free from drugs now. If you count caffeine as a drug, well, that's the one that I take, but that's it. I'll have coffee whenever I like, and I'm not thinking I need to stop it, just so you know. I'm good with coffee drinking. I just don't need the cocaine or marijuana anymore. I had a friend that mentioned he really likes a lot of what I do, but he disagrees with me on marijuana. I want to break that down a little bit. Right now, as far as what's in the marijuana, who knows? One of my last marijuana highs, I had projectile vomiting. That's normally a result of opiate use. And the reason why I was vomiting was the marijuana had previously marijuana was smoked in the pipe I was cleaning, the bong. Why does that matter? Well, I could have died. Sometimes people do. So the reason why I mention that is the marijuana I started smoking when I was racing dirt bikes had seeds in it. And that's not what is going around so much now. They're putting it in e-liquids, synthesizing the THC, and who knows what chemicals are in that, okay? And right before I was born again, I was trying to cultivate my own marijuana in a climate-controlled grow room with a very elaborate system. I pulled the plug on the grow op before I was arrested. The authorities were notified. They didn't have anything to bust just yet. I had seeds germinating. I was frustrated with the price of marijuana and the inconsistent strength and technical or chemical composition, the relationship between CBD, which is an antipsychotic, and THC, which is actually psychoactive, highly. So I'm not a lightweight in the discussion of hydroponics, and that's growing marijuana or other things without soil. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Now I'm zoomed in on a young man running on the beach, out in the water there. Little photo op for the family. So if you ever want to call me, my phone number is easily found. I'll say it again for the P1000 broadcast. My phone number is 1-843-504-1776. If you want to meet me on the beach and get a YouTube Truth sticker, I've got them. Or you can send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Robert Forsch or YouTube Truth at 169 Cloverleaf Drive, Longs, South Carolina, 29568. And I'll send you some stickers. So if you have any questions about my cosmology, sociology, theology, you can call me if you want. I just typically won't debate. I had some people say I was a flat earth shill, that the earth is concave. I don't know what's up with the concave earthers. Some pretty weird people, known to be on drugs and just very weird. So I don't, if somebody makes false accusations about my character and my history, I'll just mute them, delete them, block them, whatever I need to do. I'm not tolerating that, just so you know. I've got it set up so on my Facebook anybody can comment on my stuff. You might want to get a Facebook account so you can look at my photos, even if you don't want to know what everybody is updating their status. You can use it as an app. I'm zoomed in on the family photo standing on the sandbar. Very cool. So the people reflect off the beach, they reflect off of the sand, the water, reflect on their lives, past, present, future. 3 people per second no longer have the human experience. We're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. Right now, I'm calling that as the middle of the view where the sun should appear, based on the lighting all around. I have not been out on the point for a while now. At sunrise. I've been other places, like down the pier, the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier, and the Prince Resort is about 2 miles right in the middle of the view in that direction. It appears that the tide is now coming in here. I just saw that wave come on up over. And I'm gonna take you for a walk right on up to it. It'll fill in these pools beautifully. It's just what it does. There's the reflection of the moon right there. I've got mind-blowing photography and videography. I've been given a gift. That's why I do this, and it takes thousands of hours of experience to see it, capture it, show it. That's why I'm out here doing it, because people are basing their eternity in many cases on a lie, what they believe is going on. Try carrying a pan of water filled to the top and have it not slosh out of the sides if you want. So even me moving, my tripod is right there, even moving about 30 feet, look at how much different the view is. I'm in a lot more light, a lot more reflection. So I would like to be barefoot on the sand, but I don't want soggy shoes and socks for later, so I'm dropping them. And that may sound silly, but this sand here isn't loaded with a bunch of seashells like the pier area is, because of the way that the water works there. So I just need to put them up high enough and I'm good. That's how it actually works. So when I would be out here and have just short of 12 hours of video that I've streamed live, you can see the tidal activity if you care to. One of the hashtags that I've been doing is the local sun, hashtag local sun, and you'll see some fascinating content of mine. My playlist has about 23 or 2,600 and some videos. If you go right to my channel and see my videos, you can scroll through and see a wide variety of content. With perspective, that's why we're seeing more sun appear, is it's moving towards us at this vantage point. You can look that up if you like. Laws of perspective, and yes, there are laws. And there are people that try and say, no laws, we're on a ball, spinning, hurling, wobbling, gyrating. And I'm saying, no, we're not. I'm gonna get my hands off the camera and just show you the stability of that. So the sun is much like a laser beam. I don't need a sophisticated equipment to prove we're not on a globe. The precision with which the water fills its container, just simply changing my elevation, dropping it down, changes the way this looks. If that doesn't blow your mind, you're not paying attention. Well, I should say, I won't say any of that. What I'll say is that just blows my mind. How just dropping the lens of the camera down a couple of feet changes everything. So I'm not just showing the sun, I'm not just showing the moon, I'm wanting to show the reality of the people that'll get up early enough to come on out here to see it, to put enough money in the account so that they can come out here and take a family vacation from all over the world. I've met people from Norway, Sweden, Germany, China, Japan, Czech Republic, Slovakia. People from all over come here. Some of them will end up finding some truth, or the truth. So to be clear, the moon is not a sphere. I've got proof of it right in front of you if you're watching the P1000. That's not a shadow. There's clearly a radius. And the, well, let me back up. There we go. So we can see the aerodynamics of the ripples on the water and then the glacier water right in front, closer to the camera view, because of the aerodynamics, the slipstream of this, this tapered sand. It's a sea level liquid mirror here, is what it is. The birds like to fly on the edge. I like to be on the edge too. We don't need to have an ice wall. There may be one. We've seen ice walls and penguins and polar bears and all of that. We don't really know how far away the edge of where we can go is. I'm on the edge of North America right now in South Carolina, showing it to you. Look at the reflection of the people, or the reflections of the people. As water reflects a man's face, God's word reflects the man. So when I look in the mirror, I like what I see. A man who loves God, obediently walks with him by the power of the Spirit, because I'm one of his children that actually got the upgrade now. Some of God's children haven't even been born the first time, let alone born again. We've got roughly 42 million babies were aborted last year. I don't even believe they factor into the 58 million people that die each year. Over 3 people per second. I'm zoomed in on the Prince Resort right there, the Boardwalk Cafe and families. Okay, so I'll just I'm going to zoom in on the sun and reflection. and just show you what happens when I step a few feet to the left. Then I move on back and there's the reflection again, just that little bit. So some of the people that watch and like my stuff want me to comment on how I do it. How does that work? How do you get shots like that? Well, that's how. When the tide comes in, the sound changes, gets a lot louder. And it doesn't wait for anybody. It'll just keep on going. We've got a diurnal tide here, high and low twice a day. There's a relationship between the sun, moon, and the tides. And there's a relationship between the sun, moon, and tides and the clock, my tide app, the people, the place in the world. You can research this if you care to, or scroll on by, as I say. Some people say they love the truth, and apparently they don't, because they're deceived and they don't know it. See the distortion and the contour of the buildings? There's only a slight elevation change right there in that reflection of those buildings. And then right over here, I'm going to zoom in on puddles. They're level when it's undisturbed. So I've got forensic evidence, photographic evidence of that on my channel.